Hello everyone, I am Rohit Vats and you're watching us on the live broadcast from DNA special videos, and we are going to talk about post-budget analysis. We have many experts with us. We have Mr. Gagan Kumar, tax expert. We also have Sudeep Bandyopadhyay, share market expert. Then we have Manish Kothari, co-founder and CEO of Z Funds or Z Funds. And Yes, so we are beginning, and we have Navneet Ravikar. So we are starting with these guests, and before I open the floor to you, I will just ask one question: that what do you think about this budget? Is it a good budget? Is it a bad budget? It's average, or there is hope for betterment after this budget in the market? So I would open the floor with Gagan Kumar. But before Gagan Kumar answers, so this is for all the audience who are watching us. If you have any questions for all these experts who are with us, all you need to do is to post your questions below this video, and we'll be picking it from there. We have also been joined by Dr. A. Shaktivel. Shall I call it Padma Shri Mr. Shaktivel? So, so he's also here, and now we are starting the discussion. So I will start with Mr. Gagan Kumar, who is a tax expert. So, what do you think, sir? Is it a good budget or a bad budget?
Thank you, Rohit. The way I see is that you see, if you drive a car, you need a different fuel. But if you have to fly an aircraft, you need a different fuel. So this budget is a fuel which takes us to the next level. And and if I may say that the schemes like PM Gati Shakti and the other measures which have been announced during the finance minister's speech would certainly uh, take us to the new growth trajectory, and the focus on infrastructure and connecting the infrastructure in a seamless manner is going to be a game changer. And there's nothing much on the tax side except for certain clarificatory amendments to put quietus to the litigations which were going on certain interpretation issues. So, from a tax side, there is nothing significant, and it's more of technical, which I'm sure your audience would not like to be bored with.
Also, most of the headlines that we are running is about no change in tax slabs. So, does that mean that that this budget has nothing much for the common salaried person?
There are few things for the common salaried person, but they are mostly on the COVID side. So, for example, there were challenges regarding that if the employer has paid the expense, would that be treated as perquisite? Or there were cases where crowdfunding happened, people were taken care of during COVID crisis. So those were the issues, that whether they would be regarded as income or not. So there are amendments to this effect, that to clarify that those things will not be regarded as income of the individual in the whose hands it would be received. There are nothing significant as far as the salaried employee, if I may say, that they're not going to get any extra benefit, if that's the intent of the question.
That was exactly the intent of the question. We wanted to know how the salaried person should react to this budget. I will now move to Sudeep Bandyopadhyay, who is share market expert. How do you see share market reacting to what FM presented in the parliament today?
Well, Rohit, I think it's been a very positive reaction of the market, and naturally so. First of all, the global markets have been supportive from yesterday, and that did reflect in the morning, even before the budget. And after that, the budget, if you recollect yesterday, our discussion, I mentioned as long as the government doesn't touch the capital gain tax, market will not mind. So that exactly what happened. Government didn't touch corporate tax, didn't tinker with the increasing the capital gains tax, either the rate or the period or anything like that. So that was liked by the market. But what is more important is the entire focus of the government in this budget has been on capital expenditure, and government is going to do a bulk of the heavy lifting which was required, because state government finances are not good. And if to prime the economy, to support the economic growth, because private capex is not coming the way it was expected, it was essential that government does spend, and that's what the government is going to do through this budget, and that's a very, very welcome step. Also, the market noticed that the fiscal discipline hasn't been compromised, and the kind of deficit numbers which were given 6.9% for this year and 6.4% estimated for the next year were also liked by the market. Of course, you have to put it in the context of overall global, monetary easing scenario and look at the deficit. In isolation, it does look big, but every country in the world has done monetary easing. The last point I would like to mention is government has also focused on the right sectors of the economy which need support. So I will give an example of drone, optical fiber, equipments for 5G. So these are the emerging sectors. These are the sectors which require focus and support of the government, emerging technologies. So that's where the government has focused in this budget, and that's definitely a welcome step. The last but not the least is, this entire controversy around crypto laws, crypto taxation, NFT, non fungible tokens. So this has been kind of put to rest by treating them as pretty much like a speculative game. So you make some money, you by buying and selling, you pay 30% tax, and also there is a TDS on the proceeds. So I think this kind of sets the ball rolling for this entire crypto universe as far as taxation is concerned. So market did appreciate all this, and that's why market is giving thumbs up to this budget.
Right. And you have talked about fiscal discipline and right sectors for the government to put focus on. So now I will move on to Mr. A. Shaktivel, President of Federation of Indian Export Organizations. So what are your first reaction, Mr. Shaktivel, to this budget? What do you think about it? Like, how should we decode it?
Actually, it's export-oriented growth budget, I could say, especially for MSME and export sector. Whatever we asked for the MSME, that extension of EGLG scheme for one more year, CS considered. And also we requested that service sector like hotel industry and service industry should be given this EGLG scheme. So Honorable Finance Ministry has extended the scheme for this two sector also. Then if you see that even the 7 engines of growth under the PM Gati Shakti project, it will improve the logistic issue which we are facing, and with the setting up 100 container stations and other issues like road and other facilities also taken care of. So generally, if we see that it's a export and MSME oriented budget.
Right. So, so far we have talked about fiscal discipline, right sectors, MSME oriented, and how there is not much change about the salaried class position. So now I will move on to Mr. Manish Kothari, who is co-founder and CEO of Z Funds. And what are your first initial views about this budget before we get into the details?
Hi, Rohit. We started with you asking whether it was a good budget or a bad budget. My view is that it's a different budget. It's a young budget. It represents, this budget, I think, for the first time represents a young India. It's a very, very different budget. The top points, my favorite 5 out of this budget is, first, we see the role of post office coming back, in financial inclusion after a long, long time. This will straight away the net banking, internet banking or digital banking services that a post office account holder will get about 20 crore people to the ambit of digital transactions. One. Second, like Sudeep said, first time we've attempted to normalize a very different asset class, which is NFT and crypto, the virtual assets. This will impact, this will benefit a lot of creators, influencers, artists. So it's a very, very, very important step towards building a very different asset class. Third, I've been watching budgets for last 20 years. I think this is the first time I heard a finance minister talking about mental health. Post COVID, it has become even more important. With telephone based helplines, etc. This will impact a lot of people. People in urban India actually get it, or people who can afford can actually get it, but a lot of people actually don't understand what mental health is. It's a very very important step again. Fourth, and one of the most important is uh, education getting its UPI movement. Finance minister announcing various education channels. To start in various regional languages. This will open education for each and every person in the country. Each and every child will have access to education. It's a very very strong step again. And finally, my favorite is the battery swapping policy and interchangeability of batteries. Again, so your cars will just be like your remotes, wherein you put Duracell or Nippon or Eveready, it doesn't matter. This will get the overall cost of ownership down, and so that's my view.
Thank you, Manish. And we will come to that battery part later because I have some questions there. But before that, I'm just summing up what you said. You talked about digital transactions and how 20 lakh people are coming to under its gambit. Then you also talked about how it's a very young budget. And you also talked about the focus on mental health, which is a first time in any of the Indian budget so far. But we will come to the details later. Now I will move towards Mr. Navneet Ravikar. And Mr. Ravikar, what are your first views? Because so far we are getting a feeling that it's a balance of all sorts of sectors.
Thank you, Rohit. What I could make out of this budget was that it is basically a safe budget with the, but being from agri-tech sector and the fact that we have been working on it for a long time. What I could understand from this budget was the major focus was basically agriculture, although the statement was not as strong as swapping batteries and other things. But there has been a clear focus on farmers and agriculture, and that was supposed to be before budget. Also, there was a lot of expectation. What I expected was much more, but this budget is a step in the right direction for the segment of agriculture and agri-tech. And also it is a overall, it looks like a balanced budget, like all panelists have pointed out, but it is basically a very very forward looking and futuristic budget in terms of farmer and farming community and the agri-tech sector is what I would say.
So so far we are getting quite positive reactions about the budget. So now we are opening the floor for discussion. A couple of questions that our readers have sent us. So one question is about how will chargers and battery swapping stations help India in the longer run. So now when we are at it, I will start with Mr. Shaktivel, who is president of FIEO. So how do you think? Like, do you think that this will entirely change the way India moves?
You are talking about that batteries.
Yes.
Yeah. See, the thing is, see, now so this policy will definitely help the manufacturers, and also it will give a lot of support to the state government also. She talked about the state government support also. So definitely this will have an advantage for the EV vehicles manufacturers, and it will also give reduction in the cost of EV vehicles.
And Manish, what do you think about this? Like, do you think that it's a very futuristic move and it can actually give impetus to the way we look at travel?
Yes, it's not just a futuristic move. It's a real move. It's a realistic move. It's a move which describes India of today. You just heard, it will get the cost of ownership of the car down. It will reduce the cost of maintenance of the car. It will reduce the overall transportation cost. That is true, that everyone understands. What is more important is today's India is very aspirational. Today's India gets the product which the world gets today, and it's important to keep that aspiration alive. That is what helps an economy grow. You see the innovation, the kind of innovation that today people from India get. If you don't live in the current moment, if you don't accept these realities, how do you get innovation?
True that. True that. Navneet, what do you think about this move? Because next we are moving to my personal favorite topic about cryptocurrency. But before that, what do you think about this move of electric chargers and giving
This
a thrust to electric vehicles?
this is going to create a very good environment of innovation as well, and this will save a lot of infrastructure costs that would take to prepare charging stations. So what happens is that it creates a good value system for EV vehicles, and would promote EV vehicles in future. What I was expecting is a better, I think it would come in the future documents that we see, but there has to be a clear platform that needs to be created, and startups needs to be startup, and an investment should be brought into this aspect. I think this will happen in another 3-4 months. We'll see a lot of clear path in this direction. Yes.
That's a very precise and to the point answer. Also, like it made everybody very clear about what to expect out of it. Now I will open the discussion about cryptocurrency and this 30% tax slab on cryptocurrency. As we know that even in tier 2, tier 3 cities, cryptocurrencies through various apps has infiltrated, and a lot of people are actually gaining some. How do you think this tier 3 cities people? So I will start this discussion with Gagan. Mr. Gagan, what do you think about it? This 30% slab on
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously, when you cannot ban anything, it is better to regulate it. Cryptocurrency, the way it is evolving, blockchain technology is the future. In fact, there is another important announcement which you may also wish to touch upon, is the introduction of digital rupee. I think we are going to be the first sovereign country which is going to launch this digital currency by the central bank. So it was inevitable. The currency, the trading in cryptocurrency was reaching phenomenal levels. Obviously, a large amount has already been invested. Now, the misuse can certainly be tracked because it's a blockchain technology, but government was losing revenue on it because there was no clarity whether it would be treated as a capital asset, would it be treated as a long-term, short-term, depending on the period of holding. So now they have clarified that nothing of that sort would happen. There is a flat 30% tax. If there is any loss, that will not be considered. If you want to set it off against any other loss, that is also not permissible. So that way, that much sought after clarity regarding the income tax is concerned. I guess certain degree of clarity would still be needed for what would be the treatment qua the GST provisions on cryptocurrency. So I think that is something which we will still have to wait for some more clarity.
Right. So, but that also brings me to Sudeep, and basically, what I want to know that what is about the flow of money that was happening through cryptocurrency. So, do you think that market will or can be impacted through it, like through in a bigger way after this 30% tax ban, 30% tax cap?
Rohit, I think when something is not regulated, there are no clarity on taxation. It plays in a gray area, and maybe I think you're alluding to that. A lot of money which is probably not fully legal, is also sloshing around in that space. Obviously, the government and the central bank will not want that. They will like to kind of ensure that if there is any development happening in any corner of the economy, it does get regulated, and no unfair practices or unwarranted practices creep in there, and that's what pretty much they're doing. As Gaganji mentioned, this is probably the first effort across the globe by a central bank to issue cryptocurrency, digital currency. That is, some countries have regularized some cryptocurrency, but they haven't let the central bank issue a currency. Here, I think the budget documents we were checking, it talks about RBI using a blockchain, issuing cryptocurrency, I mean digital currency in FY23. So the next coming fiscal, they will be issuing. I will also highlight one factor. I think the whole concept of cryptocurrency was that it will be outside the regulatory purview and the regulatory restrictions. That's how this entire thing evolved, that there will be complete freedom and it won't get shackled by regulators. Now, it's a kind of a paradoxical situation. We have the central bank who issues the coins and notes and every other currency we monitors. They only are going to issue the digital currency, cryptocurrency in India. So it's a funny situation. It's an interesting development. Let's wait and watch. But yes, taxing the cryptocurrency and NFT is a good step, because at least the revenue is protected. Unwarranted money is definitely not welcome. Government will get its share of tax, and the ambiguity around the regulation of crypto and legality of crypto gets taken care of, because now you're going to tax it. So it's obviously legitimate.
Right. Very important points you have made, that if you can't control anything, regulate it, because cryptocurrency is a benefits out of it. So that's a very fair point. And I will come to you, Mr. Shaktivel, about your view on putting this cap on cryptocurrency. How is this, especially in like near run, like in next 2-3 years?
See, cryptocurrency is now, it's not cannot be avoided in the future, because the whole world is dealing with the cryptocurrency. Now, as Mr. Expert said, this is a bold move by the Reserve Bank of India to introduce the digital currencies. So we will make it official by the RBI. Then automatically, then the cryptocurrency who all want to understand and do things, it can start with this digital currency of RBI. But still, we have a lot of questions about the cryptocurrency, how we are going to buy it, where we are going to park the funds, and how we are going to send the money, how the government is going to control on us. So this all we have to wait and see. But start with, the government has come out with their own kind of a cryptocurrency, the digital currency by the RBI. So this is the start of the game. We have to wait and see how it's going to be in now.
Right. So that also brings me to the whole idea of startups, and we have seen a reduction of surcharge there from 28.5% to 23%. That move is likely to ease exits for from startups and unicorns, and corporation for startups to avail tax benefit has also been increased by a year. So how do you see that impacting the whole new breed of serial entrepreneurs or venture capitalists impacting with that? So this is for Sudeep. Sudeep, could you hear my question?
No, I couldn't hear Rohit.
Okay, can you hear me now? Should I repeat it?
Yeah, you can, please, Rohit. Sorry.
Okay. So basically, I was talking about reduction of surcharge on unlisted shares from 28.5% to 23%, and this move is likely to help ease exits from startups and unicorns. At the same time, the period of incorporation for startups to avail tax benefits has been increased by a year. So how do you see these two things functioning together and impacting the market of like all these budding entrepreneurs in next 2 3 years?
Right. I think the second part was a housekeeping issue because of COVID. Pretty much all the timelines have been moved by a year. So this was warranted because we probably didn't see the kind of development we wanted to see during the last couple of years, and naturally moving the goalpost is a better thing and the right thing to do. As far as the tax reduction is concerned, the surcharge reduction rather is concerned, I think it's a very good step. It's a welcome step. If we are planning to, as a country and the government, encourage investment in new age technologies and startups, we need to bring them at par or at least somewhat on level playing field with the other listed space investments. So naturally, you need to do something about that, and it was looking distorted. Uh, the other point I'd like to mention is that, see, when you invest in a listed equity and there is a capital gain, there is a certain period of holding, which is 1 year. After that, you have the reduced rate of tax. Whereas in case of unlisted space, that period is higher. They haven't done anything about it yet, but there is a demand from the industry to do something about that as well, because that's the way you can encourage all of us to invest in startups.
Right. So I will also take your closing comments, Mr. Manish and Mr. Navneet, because I know that you guys are have given us only limited time. So and Sudeep, also thank you for your time. But before that, we would need your final experts comment. Manish, I will go with you first on the whole idea of giving impetus to startups and unicorns. Either you are on mute. I can't hear you.
It's a very important step, like what Sudeep just mentioned, extending timeline, by another 1 year for startups. I think that should why 1 year, that should be extended forever. If you really want to drive innovation in a country, if you really want to become, if you want to see global, companies or global startups coming out of India, you should do that. And second, again, getting, the surcharge thing down, getting it at par with listed equity, again opens a very, very, big, supply of capital, source for startups today. We've seen over the last 1.5 2 years, we've seen startups have become very, very attractive investment opportunity. A lot of people take it very, very seriously these days. One, because of obviously the kind of money that people have made, but people have started to understand it. As this market matures, investment startups, etc., people start taking it very, very seriously. People start understanding it. Getting the tax, the surcharge thing down here at par with listed equity is again a very, very important step. You see, the biggest of brands today, are unlisted. It's changed in the last 5 years. A lot of very, very large, startups, very big brands are unlisted. They are not listed today.
Thank you, Manish. And I will now move to Mr. Navneet. What do you think about it? I saw you smiling on certain points.
Yeah, that was because I mean to say I wanted to stress here is that in the last year, most unicorns have been thrown up by the agriculture and agri-tech segment, you see. And that was the segment which had actually, become really, really relevant in the times of COVID. And the stress of the budget, although there was this explicitly mentioned about startups and the surcharge and all, the main crux I would say is still to be discussed. And basically that was ingrained in actually the agriculture part that the statement was talking about, that was Nirmala Sitharaman was talking. So I would say that we would see a lot of agri-techs, a new startups, agri-tech startups coming in, and we'll see a huge movement here.
That's what it is actually.
Right.
Like,
Thank you, Navneet.
Who
Thank you, Sudeep. And thank you, Manish, for your time. And we will again join for some other discussion. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
we have some new guests. I will just introduce them for our viewers. We have with us Mr. Mitesh Thakkar, founder Miss Calape. It's a finance tech company. We also have Sahil Dharia, and Sahil Dharia is founder and CEO of Sood Healthcare, and we are also waiting for Mr. M.S. Chuk, founder and chairman of Eponix Electric Vehicles. He's not here yet, but we are expecting him to join soon. So now, when
Can I
Sahil,
also can I also leave now?
sir, but if you are going to leave, then I would like to get your final comment on this, the whole taxation bracket, and basically how we should interpret this budget in 5 points, as per you.
See, as I said, it's not the budget is for long vision is there in this budget. It's a export and also growth oriented budget. She has taken care of all the sectors. It's very difficult for a finance minister to take care of all the sector. You take any sector, it's something or other she has taken it. So I see this as as I said in the beginning, for the manufacturing sectors also it's a good, and also the export sectors also is good. With all these things, when we are requesting for this interest subvention, also she has taken care of the interest subvention. So what are the issues are addressed by each sector? She has taken into the consideration and she has given some relief for other. Our main thing was the container shortage and other thing. So she has give this one thing as a uh, mega Shakti, that Gati Shakti, given 7 engines for the growth. So if we go through that 7 engines for growth, it is there for everything, skilling. Also, she has said setting up 100 uh, container stations, which we are talking about the last only year. Containers shortage and freight charges and things like that. So it's all will taken care of. So I really say it's a great budget, and we are all welcome it wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir, for your time. And we will again meet for some other discussion. But
Yes,
for
Lord.
today, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, we will continue the discussion with our new guests. Sahil is there, Mitesh is there. I would like to start with Sahil, because we also wanted to know the reaction of the healthcare sector. How do you see all these new proposals made in this budget? And because before you came, somebody was talking about mental health being talked in the budget for the first time. So how do you interpret it? How do you see it?
Hello?
I can hear you, Sahil.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, for some reason. I'm going to log back in, guys. I'm not able to hear you.
Okay. Then meanwhile, we will move on to Mitesh. Finance and tech. A lot of talks have been happening about it in last 2 3 years, like how it is going to give impetus. Like India should thrive on science, and we should move on to next level of technology and all that. How do you see it?
So finance and tech actually, this budget has actually been a booster budget, particularly for the marginal sections and the vulnerable sections of the country. If you look at it, actually, there are 75 digital units actually been established. Actually, I've been talking about, as well as actually that's digital banking units, 75 digital banking units in 75 different districts in the country. At the same time, budget also talks about bringing core banking to 1.5 lakh post offices. That is actually definitely going to increase the financial inclusion and help the vulnerable sections and the marginal sections to actually get into the realm of UPI and digital payments, and actually bolster the economy. But very important part is actually they have mentioned very clearly that there is a mention to focus to promote the payment platforms that are economic as well as they are user friendly. So if you look at it, actually, we all talk about UPI and as a UPI as a revolution. But if you know that actually there are only 20 crore people on UPI or 200 million people on UPI, wherein
Something
there
that
are about
nobody is talking about. You are making a very important point here.
yeah. So there are 20 crore people on UPI, and there are about 118 odd crore mobile phone subscribers. So aim is to actually, if India has to really boost, actually, this 118 odd crores also should come on UPI, and to bring that, actually, government is promoting user friendly payments. When I say user friendly, we say that Google Pay is user friendly, Google Pay is simple, Phone Pay is simple, right? Paytm is simple, but it is simple for people like you and me. But you look at the villager, or you look at my mom or my dad, who has a smartphone worth even 1.5 lakhs, but it's not user friendly for them, right? So idea here is actually that for not only them, but also for people like my cook, my maid, my watchman, my driver, all those guys are still not on hold of UPI. For instance, actually, my watchman, if he has to send money to his wife today, he uses, he goes to a nearest BC outlet, gives 1,000 bucks, and actually transfers to his wife again, that, and he pays 10 bucks for that. And his wife travels about 3-4 kilometers to a nearest BC point to withdraw
Yeah.
money. But just imagine if I have to transfer money to you using UPI, it's like a click, man. It's so simple, and I don't pay anything, right? So the benefit of digital payments has to come down to the weaker sections of the country. Only then the Bharat can grow, and with that growth of Bharat, the India grows, right? And the economy grows, and that's why I call it a booster budget, and this, along with this scheme of 75 digital banking units in 75 districts, it's very unique. So I'm really hopeful that this budget will bring a great progress, and it's like likely it said, it's a Achhe Din coming down to the Bharat, to the rural Bharat, actually. That's very
Uh,
nice.
that's a very nice term you have given there, booster budget. I really like that term. So far we have heard young budget, then somebody said super short budget, then booster budget. So I'm liking this allegory. Also, Mitesh Thakkar, I pronounced the company's name not right earlier. It's Miss Pay, and he's founder of it. So, and Mitesh, but you have described everything in a very nutshell and very precise way. But now I am moving towards Sahil Dharia, who is founder and CEO of Sood Healthcare. And so, so he was explaining us the way healthcare sector should look at this budget.
Yeah. See, I'm looking at this. Thanks. I'm looking at this from the following three lenses. One is the what's in it for the jobs and MSMEs and startups of India. The second way is your ease of doing business or governance, and third is health. So I would actually like to give it a new allegory there. I would like to say it's a very practical budget. I think she's done a great job of balancing tactics as well as building a runway for the long term. The tactics is very easy to go into. We can dissect each one, but from a high level, I think India needs to start looking at a $10 trillion economy, not a $5 trillion economy. So I think we should reset our targets for that. First of all, second, what I like about this at a tactical level is I love the focus on infrastructure, capacity building in roads, in railways, etc. That puts money in the working class, the laborers, and that in turn, in long term and short term, boosts the economy from a consumption perspective. So very positive short term as well as long term. Increasing the allocation for CGT SME as well as the emergency credit line, that puts money in the bank of SMEs, entrepreneurs. That in turn spurs the economy. It gives a shot in the arm because COVID has really hammered a lot of businesses, small businesses. So that's really great. Um, Continued government investments from SIDBI to entrepreneurs and startups. Very lovely to see that they're doubling down on that exposure. So that's from a broader perspective. Ease of business. I think the trust-based governance, is a leap, or what do you say, masterstroke, right? I think in good governance. I'm yet to see a lot more detail around it, but from an ease of doing business, loving the fact that they want to move to a trust-based governance system. Of course, integrating roads and railways helps ease of business and transportation. A digital rupee and bringing the post offices into the system, again, really will a significant portion of the Chinese economy is digitally led, simply as WeChat and how payments are made. Post offices have significant presence in India. I think bringing them in is going to really spur consumption at the grassroots level. Very excited about these long-term things. Finally, health, which is what your question is. I represent the health sector. Digitization of health is something that will have very long-term dividends for India. And of course, I remember talking about this with the health secretary about 5 or 7 years ago, and it's finally happening. But finally, the budget, Nirmala Sitharaman ji talked about mental health. The government of India coming and talking about mental health is a very big positive. And other than that, from the healthcare sector, I wish I'd have seen more, but I think these are very positive moves by the government.
From futuristic to young to booster to
Yes.
now your
Practical.
interpretation of it. I'm liking it the way every expert is presenting the budget with a new term. We have also been joined by Mr. MS Chug, who is founder and chairperson of Eponix Electric Vehicles. So, and this budget has also been focusing a lot on electric vehicles, charging stations, and everything. So, sir, I would like to know your view on this.
Yeah, hello everybody. Looking at the market and the budget today, I think coming to charging stations, electric vehicles, and transportation system, this will help us a lot in coming future. And especially Economic Zone Act to be replaced by in the SEZ Act is also a very good welcome. The main battery swapping was announced. The government will bring out a battery swapping policy to counter the issue of limited coverage of charging stations in these states. But what I feel is that charging stations, lithium-ion batteries, if these two things are resolved, we can very fastly cover up with electric vehicles. And even a normal man can enjoy the saving of environment and money for the fuel. So I think coming future of electric vehicle has to be foreseen. And the thing is, one should always think that coming infrastructure which already we have can be used for making of all these things. And also looking at the export policy, we can manufacture, make in India, electric vehicles, electric vehicle parts, and the problem of chip is also going to be solved. The things are changing very fast. So I think we should shift to electric transportation, vehicles, batteries coming up like this.
But sir, I was just wondering that realistically, so the plan is there, but realistically, how much time do you think we still need to get to a point where electric vehicles are the talk of the day rather than a futuristic trend?
I could not hear you.
Can you hear me now? Should I repeat the question?
No, it's very low. Voice is very low. Volume is less.
Volume is full here, sir. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
No.
I think there is some
Rohit,
audio issue.
The voice has gone down.
Maybe some. Can somebody? Can Gagan sir? Can you repeat my question to him if he can hear you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can somebody? Can Gagan sir? Can you repeat my question to him if he can hear you?
I can hear you. I guess the question was that how long do you see that this transformation to electric vehicle will take?
Yes, sir. Like realistically, what should be the time?
How long do you see that this?
Yes, sir. Like realistically, how long do you see that?
I think coming
Yes, sir.
to this.
Like realistically, how long do you see that?
Yes, I get it.
I think
The
yes, sir. Like realistically, how long do you see that? Sir, Chug sir, I think you are logged in from two devices because I can.
now I got the question that how long can we? Yes. See, as per my experience and since having a vast old experience in electric vehicles and electronic parts and all, the future I see now is that people are coming up with the new production, new systems, parts are being developed. Already, a lot of small industries have come up in this making of small parts, huge parts, motors, controllers. This will not take much time now. And as what I have seen, the government is pushing it very hard. The things are going to move very, very fast. I hope within a span of few, I cannot say months, but few years, we will naturally go above 30 to 40% in electric vehicles very, very soon. And as per the future government plans, we have already taken up this task to come up with electric vehicles, electric vehicle parts, batteries within a span of 3 to 4 years. And the small scale industry, large scale industries, big players, they are all into it. Even the small vendors have started their research on small parts. So I hope that this will turn very fast, and within a span of 1 year we can see a lot of electric vehicles on the roads. And especially again I will say the first infrastructure should be there of charging stations. If there are charging stations available, fast charging stations, people will naturally go for electric vehicle because they are getting the facility of fast charging station, and the last mile delivery person will be very happy to use this facility of fast charging stations. And as well as I would like that the government should put pressure on lithium ion battery and waive off some taxation so that people can do lithium ion batteries fastly and can come up with this electric vehicle technology. And the technology is also moving very fast. Lot of motor manufacturers are coming up, many people are coming up, so this will move fast. I hope within a span of 1.5 year we'll see lot of changes on the public roads, that the electric vehicles are moving, loaders and two-wheelers and also four-wheelers.
Right.
I would like to add here.
Yes, please do.
Rohit, if I can make a comment and then I'll have to leave, I have something to attend to.
Of course, sir. Please do.
So 2-3 things I think which we missed out is one of the important project which was announced as the Vibrant Village program, whereby the villages in the border areas would be connected through roads and the basic amenities would be provided. That's going to be a game changer. The second is the encouragement to startups to provide solutions to farmers through drones, because drones are suggested to be used for irrigation, for seeding, etc. Thirdly, the encouragement to gaming industry to tap the potential of the gaming industry. It has been proposed to have a export promotion council for the gaming industry. And lastly, the indigenization in the defense sector. So the employment growth would be setting up of manufacturing facilities. So it is proposed that 68% of the defense acquisition has to be indigenous, coupled with the 5G introduction of 5G technology and its spare part. So in a nutshell, the way I see, and I go back to my initial statement, it can be summarized what we saw on the Rajpath on the meeting retreat night. The 1,000 drones forming map of India, that clearly symbolizes today's budget that the advanced technologies is going to be used for the welfare of the common people, if I may summarize it in that form.
Of course, you
Thank
can.
you.
You have summarized it in a very beautiful way, and that visual is still playing in my head.
Thank you.
Uh,
I'd like to drop out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. And so I think Mitesh, you wanted to make a point. Uh,
Yeah, so I was wanted to add about the electronic vehicle, the electric vehicle market, where actually things that are advertised on digital payments percolating into the interiors of the country will actually help in making is it electric vehicles, the three wheeler. Actually, if you look at three wheeler concentration of three wheeler electric vehicles or auto rickshaws, is only into the North India. Right? You find it in few northern states, but still not there in many of the other states in the country. Now, here into the inroads of the city, into the inroads of the rural India, tier 3, tier 4, tier 6 towns, actually, what is required is to make that accessible for anyone to actually, you know, uh, actually, get, get finance for such kind of three wheeler. So it's about sensitization of three wheeler buying. Like buy now pay later is already a big thing, in terms of for people like us. But bringing it to the rural India through this initiative where actually they talk about, that digital payments percolating it will be a great upswing. And as finance minister already said, Amrit Kala is the beginning, right? So when the beginning of the Amrit Kala is nothing but it's beginning of a prosperity to the downtrodden and the inroads of nook and corners of the Bharat.
you have presented in a better way than I could. So that way, thanks a lot, Midesh. And Sahil, that also brings back me to you. That again, because a lot of talk about futuristic healthcare and in the post-COVID situation, health has become so much important. So, what do you see the roadmap? How do you see the economy transferring into a welfare economy in next couple of years?
See, there are a number of ways of looking at it. And why did I say this is a practical budget? The government has what is a budget? It's an account of where income and expenditure of the government of India. That's all it is. It's only in certain countries, like in India, we get very excited about it every year. Normally, in most developed countries, this is a non-event, other than just checking line item where the things have gone. But it is in India that we can actually look forward to certain leapfrog changes or master strokes or major changes that can actually get us from, like I said, right, from 5 trillion we should increase our target to $10 trillion economy. And I think this budget does this very practically. It focuses on both tactics as well as the larger term changes that will take us there. Look, the government has limited resources in a post-COVID year. Even their resources are constrained. Yes, GST collections are up. That's only now. We've already lost a year and a half in a lot of those things. So she's operating under a lot of constraints. But given that, she's done a lot of big ticket things that are game changers. Master stroke, as I said, the trust-based governance, the digitization of health. Uh, the moment you are able to put things, and tag it with metadata, there is so much you can do with it, and that itself will create opportunities for new business ventures, entrepreneurship in health. I think that's great, and it's not going to happen today. It's probably going to take 2, 3, 4 years, but the long term, the seeds have been sown for that, for the healthcare sector. Uh, so yeah, very very excited about that aspect about healthcare. Remember, this comes in the back of the insurance cards that they did a couple of years ago as well.
Yes, Sahil, you are quite right that the background is we should also keep that in mind. Also, it has been a very intense and very detailed discussion about certain aspects of budget. So, but we have also consumed a lot of time. We have used up most of our time. But before we close this discussion, I just want to like your individual opinions about how would you rate this budget on the scale of 1 to 10, starting from you, Sahil, and how
I would
hopeful are you?
like to Yeah. I would like to actually request to allow me to rate it on two parameters: the
Please do.
practicality and the innovationness. So rather the tactics and the innovation. On an innovationness, I give it 7 on 10. Very innovative, very cool stuff. I know she's resource constrained and she's pulled out many things out of her hat to actually do make meaningful structural changes. So on the innovativeness, I give it a 7 on 10. On all other parameters, I'd probably give it a 5 on 10 because, well, if I'm from the jewelry business, I want more, and if I'm from the health business, I want more. So obviously, from the healthcare sector, I would have liked to see a lot more. So I give her a 5 there. But on the innovation, I would give a 7, which is a pretty good rating coming from me. So overall, it's a good budget.
So now I will move towards Mitesh. How would you rate it? And what would be your parameters?
So my parameters actually it's a focus towards growth, boosting growth, as finance minister she's already mentioned, it's futuristic and for inclusive growth, right? So inclusion is what is on the cards, and that's what I said. Amrit Kala is actually a thing that is uh, going towards skyrocketing our rural and semi-rural, semi-urban economies actually into a next level, right? And that is and with the advent of bringing core banking to 1.5 lakh post offices, making banking accessible. It's a
semi-rural, semi-urban
so, so that's what I believe is actually I will rate on the growth aspect to be 9 on 10, right? Uh, some of the support that needs to be very much clear. Actually, it's about how they're going to do it. Actually, it's something. There's always a surprise that we come to know later. But and also they mentioned about incentivizing startups. Right? So that's a great move, by bringing an additional year of tax-free regime and all that. But if you look at how many startups actually get a tax-free benefit, right? So there has to be liberalization of how do you get a startup a tax-free benefit rather than actually increasing the tax-free benefit. So there are so many funded startups, but do they really have tax benefit? They are really the funded startups are creating wealth, but the number of startups who actually have a number of startups who actually have got their kind of tax benefit, uh, they don't even get funds. So there is some disparity, there's some disconnection. Startups who gets funded, who are not getting tax benefit getting startups are not getting funded. So there is some way the government needs to really look at as to how do you qualify a startup, right? And also, a lot of startups actually are moving outside the country. If you look at it, they are getting, for flipped actually, as mentioned by Sanjeev Bichchandani a few months ago, right? So they get headquartered outside the country. Now that going outside the country is erosion of wealth, right? So just imagine that when an headquarters shifts outside, the wealth is now created outside because what we're talking about is reducing the capital gain tax and all that. But अगर wealth ही यहाँ create नहीं हो रहा, तो how does it really matter? The wealth is getting created outside, and those startups come back to India. For instance, PhonePe is now planning to come back to India and get listed. Right? They've already created huge wealth there, and now they're going to come back to India, and then finally upload everything to the local Indian investors. So so there is a disconnect here, which I was expecting government to solve it. Nevertheless, actually, nevertheless, it's a great budget. Those kind of small things are always ironable, and actually, and so I love this budget actually, and I love the initiative and the term that is coined by our honorable finance minister, that is Amrit Kala. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitesh. And before we close this discussion, your final comment, Mr. Chod, because a lot has been talked about electric vehicles.
Well, looking at the budget and the final comments is that this budget was a very simple and very, I can say, very balanced budget. This is a very balanced budget, and the future of many things, startups, and then new coming up manufacturing units for new products. People are now exploring, and especially young generation is exploring lot of things, and I think this budget will help them a lot. And also coming back to the transportation and the limitation of the commuting, the things will change. And I would say that this budget is much more you can say, I can say it is a very smooth and balanced budget.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chud. Thank you, Mr. Mitesh and Mr. Sahil. And thanks a lot for your time and such detailed
so much.
conversation around this budget. And we will again meet for some other discussion very soon.
Okay.
Till then, thank you.
Thank you, Rahul.